So over the last several days, the U.S. and Israel have carried out an operation striking Iran. And right now there's a lot of chaos in the Middle East. But what does that mean for us here in America? Let's discuss that. This is the Topher Brown Show. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Topher Brown Show. We really appreciate you tuning in, wherever you're listening from, wherever you're watching from. This is going to be a special episode. We're going to release this one in conjunction with the other podcast that we released earlier this week because we felt as though we needed to get something out about what's going on in the Middle East. So we're going to discuss that and a heck of a lot more than that today. But before we get into that, I will need to introduce to you my co-host, Mr. Nick Smith. How's it going in there, bud?
Oh, pretty good. Howdy, America.
Everything going okay in your world as of right now?
Right now I'm covered in Topo Chico.
Yeah, little accident in there.
Just as we got started this morning, I went to open a fresh bottle of Topo Chico, and it seemed to spew everywhere but my cup that I was pouring it in.
Hopefully the computer's okay because we need a lot of fact checking today.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Okay, good. So Nick, what's your 1,000-foot view of what's going on right now? I mean, a lot has happened over the past 3-4 days since Saturday. A heck of a lot has happened.
1,000-foot view is a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
What's going on? Why are we doing this? A lot of people voted for, we voted for the administration. We did because of the no new wars. So there's a lot of questions of, I'm not against it if it's necessary.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of questions. Is it necessary? What are we really over there doing? There's just a lot of questions to be asked.
Well, one of the reasons that we're sitting down for this episode is to hopefully maybe answer some of those questions. I know that I'm not going to be able to answer any of those questions, but our guest today might help us to put some of this into perspective, and I think perspective is what we need most of all right now. Our guest today, we asked to come in for a very specific reason. He is a combat vet. He's a former Marine. And he's going to tell us a little bit about his story and then hopefully add some perspective to what's going on in the Middle East right now. But this is our good friend, Mr. Nelson Thames. How's it going, Nelson?
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here, brother. Tell us a bit of your story. Now, whenever you and I were communicating with one another about you being on the show, you communicated to me that the 1979 incident with Iran was kind of something that contributed to you joining the Marine Corps. Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Sure. Well, first off, let me say that I'm old. I graduated in 1979 from Brookhaven High School, and I had been thinking about, like most seniors do, what you're going to do with the rest of your life, and I've always wanted to be a Marine. And when they took the embassy and took the hostages, that kind of sealed the deal.
Yeah.
And me, and along with thousands and thousands of other young men going into the Marine Corps at the time.
Yeah.
It was pretty much a common theme.
Yeah.
Once we got there is we wanted to go get them back. And so it worked out that way.
Yeah.
Let me clear something up. I am not a combat vet. I do not have a combat action ribbon.
Gotcha.
I just wanted to clear that up.
Gotcha. So tell me a little bit about what your role was whenever you joined up.
Okay. Well, I started out when I went in, I didn't really know what I wanted to do in the Marine Corps. So I went in open contract, as they say. And one of the first things you do when you get to Parris Island is you start testing. And if you do good enough, you go to the next test. And you keep going. And I went pretty high. I did pretty well. So the opportunity came up to go into the intelligence services. Initially, I scored high enough to be a linguist, and that's what I was going to do. But as it turned out, with everything going on over there at the time, it would have been a year before I was able to get a seat in the school in Monterey, California. And I didn't want to just basically do guard duty for a year.
Yeah.
So I went into an electronics intelligence. And I spent a year down in Pensacola, Florida at Corey Station. And from there, I went to the 2nd Marine Air Wing in Cherry Point, California, working with VMAQ-2, Marine Electronic Warfare Squadron 2, as a intelligence operator. And what we did, the mission of the squadron was to provide electronics protection for the planes going out on the strikes. But the Marine Corps used this, the Navy didn't. We also used it as an intelligence gathering platform. So our job was, while they were up drawing the radars, we were recording, and we got very good at that. We could tell what Russian ship was which by the radar signature.
Wow.
And I did most of my work in, I worked out of what we call Westpac, Japan, Okinawa, Korea, Philippines. And I was deployed to the Westpac when the Beirut bombing happened in '83.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that was a growing up period for a bunch of young guys.
I bet.
It became extremely real. We were scared, but we were angry. And that kind of plays into what's going on now. Iran, since they took over in '79, they've been a big disruptor in that region. They sponsored terrorism all throughout that area.
Right.
We can go into that a little bit later.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get my history right, and Nick, you can probably help me out on the Google machine in there. But the Islamic faction of the Islamic regime, they overthrew the government. Was that in the 50s? At one point, Iran was a kind of a thriving, I know they were under kind of a monarchy type system. And they were kind of thriving in economically and technologically in the world until a certain point.
It says 1979, December.
That's when the overthrow happened?
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
Islamic Republic.
That's right. Okay, so that's when the Ayatollah was installed
Correct.
and the whole 9 yards. And it seems to me that ever since then, Iran has been, I think the polite word is to say regressed in terms of all of those things, in terms of economy and technology.
It is strange to, I've seen some of these throwback videos of what Iran used to be like. And, you see women wearing, normal clothes. It almost seems like it's 50s America,
Yeah.
very free. And then all of a sudden, this regime takes over and it is
Sharia law.
right.
Which, for our listeners who don't know what Sharia law is, don't have nearly the time that we need to go into that, but do some research for yourself. It's basically under the thumb of the Islamic leadership, and women especially are incredibly oppressed under that rule, and so you can kind of see. You can kind of see where that regression starts to take place, I guess, from the 70s, 79 on, straight on up to this point right here, right now. And obviously, Nelson, what you were referring to was was that when they took the hostages for 444 days? Was that
Right.
incident? Yeah.
Right. And the hostages were released when Reagan became president. And I'm not going to say we were disappointed, but that a lot of us went in to
fight,
try to get in on the action, and then all of a sudden you didn't have the action.
Yeah.
But
right.
I will say this: I went to high school with a guy whose dad worked in the oil field in Iran, and he lived in Tehran for about a year and a half, and he loved it. It was a cosmopolitan city, very Western, you know. And all of a sudden, overnight, things changed.
Yeah. And I was doing a little bit of research, kind of the time where that overthrow happened. And you guys correct me if I'm going off course here, but it seems there was a fire. There was a cinema that caught fire, and in Tehran, I believe, or just on the outskirts of it, and about 400 people were killed that were inside this theater, and the Republic Guard then used that as an excuse to go and overthrow the current government. Well, it later came out that the Republic Guard are the ones who set that fire.
Killing over 400, it says.
Yeah, and so it was a big coup.
Yeah.
Basically that took place, and kind of ever since then we've been in this this state of limbo where we don't know what Iran's doing at any given time. Are they, clearly they have been on the trajectory to building a nuclear weapon. We know that for sure. They
Right, that was what, June of last year that we took care of that.
Yep, we did those strikes in June of last year. Apparently to great success. I mean, I think their nuclear program was incredibly destabilized, but their ballistic missiles apparently, what I've read is that the vast number of ballistic missiles that they have been able to produce, in order to keep people from being able to do anything about their nuclear program, is enormous. It's huge. It's according to some sources, it's like the largest number of ballistic missiles, short range and long range, I guess, in the world.
Wow.
That Iran has been producing. So that's kind of a little bit of backstory, I guess, about Iran, and Nelson, certainly of your experience. But what I think you're going to be able to help us with is how we how do we process all of what's going on right now. And and Nick and I are old enough. We've been through the years of enduring freedom in Iraq and Afghanistan. My father-in-law and my brother-in-law, his son, both served in that conflict. Our pastor, Chris, also served in that conflict. So, conflicts are nothing new to us as a society, maybe to the younger generation. But, Nick, you referenced, Trump got elected on
no new
wars and no endless wars. But I guess the question is, what is this? Is this a war? And is it going to be an endless war? I think those are the two questions that people have the most right now.
Is this a gentle correction, or is this a all-out brawl?
Yeah.
I think one thing that kind of makes this one different from Iraq and Afghanistan is there's already a organic uprising in place. The people of Iran, a large portion of them, are ready for a change. And they had some protests in the last couple of months, and the last number I heard is that 50,000 people were killed by their government for protesting. So, you hear hearts and minds. I think one of the mistakes that we made in Iraq and Afghanistan is we thought when we entered the conflict, they would come running, the populace would come running to us, and they didn't.
Right.
So I think now it may not be as dramatic as they're come running to us, but they've been asking for our help for a while now, and they see what's happening now as we are helping them. So I think the chances of a success and a quick resolution are a lot better now since we do have that organic support in the country.
Yeah. I would say, too, that, or I guess ask, rather, like from my 1,000-foot view, 10,000-foot view of this, this conflict is not taking place for one specific reason. I feel like this is a multifaceted operation as to the reasoning as to why we went in. Some of those include this: Iran was on track to build enrich uranium, which is only used for weapons, right? So they were on track to have a nuclear weapon if they didn't already have one when we struck back in June. They just slaughtered 30 to 50,000 of their own citizens for protesting the current regime. Russia and China both get the majority of their oil from Iran. Not to mention the thousands of Americans who have been killed as a direct result of the Iranian regime since 1979. There have been, I can't remember the exact number, but all throughout those years, there have been Americans that have been killed directly because of them, whether it be through terrorist means or anything else. So when I'm looking at this, I'm not looking at one specific thing. When I look at this, and Nick, my first gut reaction was kind of like what you said, was kind of like, well, dadgummit, like we weren't supposed to be getting in anything, right? We're supposed to be in this, and Trump has been extremely diplomatic in the Middle East with all the Abraham Accords and everything else that he's done, brokered a lot of peace over there. And so, to me, I'm sitting back and I'm going, dadgummit, we weren't supposed to be getting into this. But the more that the information starts to trickle out, the more I'm like, man, like, is it possible that Iran was going to attempt to attack us on our own shores at some point or not? Or a bunch of our allies, which they are currently doing right now as we speak.
There's definitely a balance between, protecting the world, protecting our own shores, and saying, no, we're not going to war.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just seems to be necessary.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not a fan of war. My take on war is it's when a bunch of old men that know each other send a bunch of young men that have never met to kill and die.
Yeah.
But that being said, because I've said this in my veterans presentation, war is one of the dumbest things we do as people. But because of man being fallen like he is, sometimes it's very necessary.
Yeah.
And I think what's happening now, you look at it, there's two ways to look at it. You look at it tactically, which means what you're going to do now, take out whatever. But you got to look at it strategically too. What's your second, third, and fourth order consequences of what you're doing? And I think it's very fortunate strategic results that are coming from this with the oil exports from Iran. We've tried to do sanctions and blockades, but China's kind of just rubbing our face in it. They're taking it anyway. And if you look at what happened in Venezuela, that's two very big exporters of oil to China is Venezuela and Iran. So that's a strategic goal that I think we're taking care of here.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's important to not have just a gut reaction about all this and take in as much information as we possibly can, because the fact of the matter is that we don't have all of the information or the intel that the powers that be have in order to make these decisions. That's another facet of this that I don't think a lot of people are taking into consideration. I think they know a lot more than we do, and that's not to say that they're also human and capable of making mistakes, certainly, but they also have a lot more intel than we have on this particular situation.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine the weight of making these decisions and knowing that Americans might possibly go and die because of those decisions. I can't imagine the weight of that and having to live with that, for the rest of your life, whether it was the right decision or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's I've thought about that a lot. just think about a general making a war plan and knowing that you're going to have 10% casualties or 20% casualties,
Yeah.
and making the decision to go ahead with it because that's what it took to execute and do what you needed to do
Yeah.
to reduce casualties. It's yeah,
Yeah.
I would never want to be in that position.
No, absolutely not. But I think, I think for us as Americans, it's important for us to remember Romans 13 when Paul tells us that God actually placed these people in authority, and a lot of times we don't understand why God placed the people that He placed in authority. A lot of times, especially the administration prior to this, it's no. And again, our podcast listeners know it's no secret that the people that myself and Nick, we're conservative guys. We're pretty center right, but we lean conservative. But it's easy for us to criticize, but it's not so easy for us to understand why God's doing what He's doing and trust in His sovereignty in times like this. But Nelson, from your perspective as a vet and all the experiences that you've had, how should we be feeling while we're sitting over here in Mississippi and other parts of the country? We're all kind of speculating as to what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. Should we be freaked out about all this? Should we be cautiously optimistic about all of this? What's your opinion on that?
Don't freak out for sure. Do not. It's kind of hard now because we don't get a lot of good information from the news media, and we tend to fall back on social media.
Yeah.
And please take social media for just what it is. It's all somebody's opinion.
Yeah.
Look at it like this. Part of the reason we're doing what we're doing now over there, it's one thing to have a nuclear weapon, but you got to have a way to deliver it. And that's been the rub for a lot of people. They don't have the technology to deliver the nuclear weapon that they may have built. Iran, as we see now, has made some big strides in ballistic missiles.
Mm-hmm.
They're hitting targets all around the region.
Yep.
And they were on the way to coming up with something intercontinental.
Yeah.
So it was probably fortunate that Israel decided to make their strike, and we joined them now before that happened.
Yeah.
It's kind of selfish to think of it this way, but as far as being Americans in the United States, we're in a very good spot. It would take a lot
Yeah.
to have a war on our home front.
I think anything that does happen would be a surprise attack like 9/11. I think highly unlikely that, especially now, that Iran is going to be able to send anything intercontinental. Their whole missile systems, I think, have been. Now, of course, they're as of today, as of this morning, they still have some capabilities because they're striking U.S. bases all around the Middle East, which is kind of crazy because they're also striking some of their would-be allies as well, which is kind of insane to me. It kind of communicates to me that their leadership is gone. And of course, I read that we took out somewhere between 40 and 50 of their top, including the Ayatollah, their top officials. And I kind of feel as though, and there were reports that the new Ayatollah had been killed, but I haven't seen any confirmation on any of that.
I haven't seen anything there.
So that's probably not the case. But it would seem to me that they are just flailing at this point. Is that kind of how you feel like that this is a desperation attempt by them to get back to
Absolutely.
do as much as they can?
You have to understand, over the last year or so, see, Iran, they had one war with Iraq, and it didn't go well for either side.
Right.
So since then, they've carried out proxy wars.
Yeah.
They have organizations like Hezbollah, Hamas,
Even the Houthis, right? I think.
Houthis,
Yeah.
and so they let them do their dirty work for them. Iran really doesn't have a lot of experience prosecuting a proper war.
Yeah.
They farm it out to somebody else. So now they've lost a lot of that support over the last year or so, and they're kind of in a bad spot. And especially now, since they've gone after some of the other Arab countries in the region, whatever support they had there, they lost that. So, yeah, they're backed in a corner.
Yeah.
And without their leadership, I think I read something that they're starting to break down into local, almost warlords,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
And they're doing all they can to hold on to what little power they had.
Yeah.
That's where it's important that you got the organic
The
resistance.
uprising, yeah.
Yeah, that's extremely important.
Yeah, I've been seeing where they've struck that some of their missiles have gone awry and landed in Tehran. I think that there was kind of some fake news that came out about a school. A school did get bombed in Tehran, but it was not from U.S. or Israel forces. It was from a missile gone awry.
Right.
Within Iran. And you kind of hit on it a little bit. Like, social media is just full of lies right now.
Yeah.
It's full of just lies. Man, my position is hold that tongue until you have the correct information before you start just leveling accusations against one administration, one leadership, or another, or one country or another. Because the fact of the matter is, we know as much as they want us to know right now, and that's it.
Maybe as much as we need to know.
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
There's OPSEC is extremely important. We have had instances where some pretty high leaders, for political points, let some OPSEC slip, and we paid a dear price for it.
Yeah.
So if you'll notice, when this thing started, you didn't hear much on the news about it.
Right.
That's one thing that shocked me. You figured it would be blasting everywhere, but you didn't hear anything, and I think that was for a reason. That at least wait till the main wave was over with before you start putting this stuff out. Things are different now. Things are different with social media, and
that's absolutely right. Like, the fact that everybody's got a camera in their hand or their back pocket at all times is kind of crazy. Now, that could be a good thing, but more times than not, it proves to be a bad thing. I'm afraid in our current society. But okay, so we touched on a little bit. You kind of referenced how you feel like this is going to be different from Iraq and Afghanistan. We had tens of thousands of our men and women over there, boots on the ground, engaged in firefights on the ground with Taliban, Al Qaeda, and resistance fighters over there. I get the sense that I also get the sense that this is different. We've talked about Trump in the past. Am I a person who believes that Trump is, a person that I want my son to grow up to be? No, not necessarily. Not of outstanding moral character, I would say.
right.
But is he the man that God has put in charge right now? 100%, absolutely. The proof is the fact that he's in charge right now, and we believe that God is sovereign over this.
Well, look at some of the other men that God put in charge.
Right.
And they've done some pretty amazing things with questionable moral character. I'm like you. I like a lot of what Trump does. I just wish he would stay off social media.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I mean, we have tons of kings throughout the Bible. I mean, Saul had pretty bad moral character.
Right.
Solomon in his later days. I mean, this has been a thing that's been going on forever.
Even David,
Yeah.
man after God's own heart, had some incredibly poignant flaws. He got a man killed because he was having an affair with his wife. I mean, two grievous sins right there, right off the bat. But what was I guess the biggest difference there is that David was penitent. He knew where he messed up. He begged the Lord for mercy, and the Lord heard his cry. But going back to kind of what I was getting at was, Trump kind of campaigned on this: no new wars, no endless wars, because the Iraq-Afghanistan conflict took place over the course of 20 years or better.
Right.
So I don't think anybody, especially, nobody sitting in this room and nobody in America wants another 20-something year conflict. No. We don't want that. Like whether you voted for Trump or not, you don't want that. And do you get the sense that that's what this is right now?
Personally, I don't.
Yeah.
There's been no mention of boots on the ground. Mm-hmm. And I think, again, you go back to the organic uprising.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't dealt with that. We don't have experience with that.
Right.
We thought we were going to have it before, but like I said, we didn't. So that takes a lot of pressure off on the occupation side.
Right.
Be watching for individual military units to swap sides. That's going to be the turning point. Mm-hmm. That'll be the tipping point when the military starts.
Figuring out that they're fighting a lost cause. Yeah. And I thought that was an interesting tidbit that Trump mentioned in his speech when he was briefing the nation on what they were doing, as he said, if you're a part of the military law enforcement there and you lay down your arms, you'll receive 100% full immunity.
Right.
I don't know if that's policy. I have not heard of that being policy before. I don't know if that took place in Iraq and Afghanistan or not, but I thought that was an interesting tidbit. But I see this as, and kind of correct me if I'm wrong, if y'all believe otherwise, but I see this as hopefully we've gone in and done these precision strikes, wiped out the entire leadership, and hopefully then going to now hand the keys over to the people. Now I know that they have a Shaw in waiting. Mm-hmm. I think I can't recall his name, but he has communicated that I saw him on a 60 Minutes interview. He's he's praising a lot of high praise for Donald Trump, and apparently he seems to have the support of the people. So is it going to be a situation where we go in and bomb the fool out of Iran and then hand it over to them, or are we going to send troops in to stabilize the region before we start handing control over? That's a question.
Well, hopefully we've learned from our past mistakes. As my son likes to say, what does winning look like? I think we've gone in a couple of times without a clear definition of what winning is, and our exit strategy. As you know, Afghanistan was a pretty miserable,
pretty bad
thing. So yeah, I mean, I can't see into their mind, but I really hope that's what it is.
Yeah,
because that's the thing about in areas like that. Sometimes the one that goes in place is worse than the one that you removed.
Right. Yeah.
So we have to be careful of that.
I think I'm getting this right, but I'm pretty sure the Taliban is a example of that.
Yeah.
I think that the Taliban, we kind of handed the reins over to them, and that turned out to be a pretty poor decision.
As you can see, that you can't trust, because they have their goal, and their goal is world caliphate.
Yeah, right.
And a lot of the problem people have is that we're doing this with Israel. But what a lot of people don't understand is you got to look at it. Since Israel came into being, they've basically been under attack.
Since the 40s.
48 when they came into
declared,
being. They've been under attack.
Yep.
It's you don't see when things are going good the rockets that are flying in to Tel Aviv and places like that. You don't see that. It's not. We don't know that part of it.
Right.
So I know it's popular to be anti-Israel right now, but we don't know what it's like to be there.
Right.
So,
And I think, and just for our listeners, I think to be anti-Israel is probably not where you want to be. Just throwing that out there. You do what your heart says to do, but the fact remains, and and there's so much politics behind all of this, but regardless of whether or not the people in Israel are the genetic descendants of Abraham or not, and all this stuff, it's just like, okay, well, it's Israel, and they have, I know that there's been stuff in the past, but they're our ally, and I think it's really important to have the right perspective on this, because you can look at this one of two ways, in my opinion. You can look at this as two world powers picking on the little guys, or you can look at this as two world powers doing preemptive strikes in order to defend themselves and the region. I choose to look at it in the latter. I think you're right. I think Israel's has been attacked since they declared themselves to be a state, a country. I think they've been attacked since then, and the same people that would scream that Israel has a right to defend themselves are the same people who are so critical of them defending themselves.
yeah.
And that's what I have a problem with.
I kind of look at it like this. When Trump sent the National Guard to D.C., very unpopular with a lot of people. We don't like to see the military on the streets in the United States of America.
Yeah.
But go to D.C. and talk to the people that live there.
Yeah.
Ask them what they think about it.
Yeah. It would seem the overwhelming majority liked it.
Yeah.
When it happened, the crime went way down.
So just because on its face it looks unpalatable,
Yeah.
wait till you see the outcome.
Yes.
Then make your decision.
Yeah.
Boy, isn't that great? Just advice in general, though. I mean, be results based.
Yeah.
And not so quick to fly off the handle just because you disagree with the way it's being done.
And if I may interject a little bit of the word as to how we should be feeling about this, I think it's Matthew 6:25, 26, somewhere in there. Now, Jesus does a lot of talking about worry. And he mentions food, clothing, things like that. But I think that we can relay this over to, God is in control. It's great to be informed, but to worry yourself to death over this, I think, is very unhealthy.
I agree with you 100%, wholeheartedly.
I was waiting for my chance to say that I know how this is going to end because I've read the book and Jesus wins.
That's exactly right, bro.
Absolutely.
That's it. And we talk about it a lot, but you can kind of get a sense why some people think that we're crazy, us Jesus followers, because we're so cool and calm and collected. Well, some of us. I mean, there are some folks out there who are yelling at you for going to the movie theater.
Yeah.
But no disrespect, kind of some disrespect, to just be honest with you. But that's why, man, because we believe that we believe in Romans 13. We do believe that God is sovereign and has sovereignly chosen to place these people in power. And that's why a lot of us, even during the Biden years, even during the Obama years, we're kind of just like, okay, all right, Lord, like, we don't like the stuff that's going on around us, but we trust you. We trust that you got a plan,
Well, you got to look at it like this. We could get upset. We could go out there on the streets. We could beat our chest. We could get our blood pressure up. But in what world do you think you're really making a difference? You know,
Right.
I tend to look at. I start with my family, and then I move up instead of going to the government and moving down to my family. My family's good. I'm good.
Yeah.
My church is good. We're okay. Am I ignoring bad things that happen in the world? No, I'm not ignoring it. I'm doing what I can do.
Yeah.
I pray about it. I ask God's intervention where I feel He needs to intervene, and I trust He will when it's time.
Yeah.
But me going out and I'm doing damage to my body when I get myself upset over all this, and that's not what He wants.
That's a good word, man.
Yeah.
Because that stress,
Yeah,
like you're talking about, Nick, that anxiety and worry, it does detrimental to your health.
sure.
And that's kind of a place where I've been in. Just to go sidetrack for 2 seconds, it's a place where I've been in lately. Just to be candid, I have a patience issue, and the issue is I have none of it, right? And
Some of us know that all too well.
exactly. Nick's probably seen me fly off the ever-loving handle every now and again, to my shame. But man, the Lord has been doing a thing in me lately where He's just communicating to me, "Hey, calm down. What's the big stinking deal? Like, you're mine, I'm yours. I love you. That's all you need to worry about."
Yeah, we pray, Lord, have your will, not ours, every day.
Yes,
Yeah.
Why don't we trust that?
absolutely. And that's the key word, trust.
I do a jail ministry on Wednesday nights, and a lot of what I talk to these guys about is surrendering control, because you got to think if you're in jail, you have very little control,
Right.
and that's hard.
Yeah.
But when we see that He has a plan for us, and He wants what's best for us,
Yeah.
and you just have to sit back and rest in the confidence
Yes.
and knowing that, and hopefully, and we need to listen to our own advice sometimes. I like you. I used to get very anxious about things. I would worry, and over the last year, He's been really working on me, and I'm in a really good place. Because all that worrying all that did was mess my stomach up.
All right.
It didn't change a thing,
Right.
but He did.
Would that seems to be where I'm at with even what's going on right now in the Middle East. Kind of like what you said. Like what am I going to do about it? Well, if I don't like what's going on, then I exercise my freedom and right to vote. Right.
Exactly.
Also, if I don't like what's going on, I pray about it. Regardless, I pray about it,
Right.
whether I like it or not. Let's be clear. One American life lost is too many.
Exactly.
One innocent Iranian life lost is too many.
Yep.
Or Israeli life, or you fill in the blank. One innocent person that dies as a result of this is too many. However, we rest, like you said, in the fact that God is sovereign over this, and that His will is going to be done. We better just get out of the way. Seems to me,
There's so many ways that's true.
Yeah.
We get in our own way a lot.
Yes, absolutely. What final word? I'm going to give it to you, Nelson. What would be your encouragement for everybody here at home over the next however long this plays out? How would you encourage us as Americans here at home?
The only threat I see to us as Americans would be maybe a terroristic act. So be a little more vigilant. For those of you that were old enough to remember, think about after 9/11, where we were as a country, as a people, united. We cared about each other. It didn't last long, but it was beautiful when it happened.
Sure was.
Think about then and let's do that now. Let's look out for each other.
Yeah.
The best thing we can do is take care of each other and be a little more vigilant. Where we're at in Mississippi, I think we're in a good place. We don't have the huge populations with all the various different people. I think we're okay there. But I would say just remember, God's got this. He's got this. And please think about it. Don't react to it emotionally. All you're doing is working yourself up. You're making yourself miserable, and you're probably making the people around you miserable.
Yeah.
So, and think of it, like I said, start with your family and go up. Don't go from the government down to your family.
Yes.
Because in the long run, that's what's important.
Yes. Amen.
Your family, your friends, your church. Take your rest in God and in those people, and we'll be fine.
Absolutely.
We're going to be good.
Wise words, brother. Thank you. Nelson, thank you for your service, brother. Thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Appreciate
Nelson.
you.
Well, thank you for having me out here. I hope I didn't embarrass my family and my friends and you guys. And I hope you're not sorry that you invited me out.
Well,
Absolutely not. We want to have you back.
Yeah, man. We need to have you back to talk about the jail ministry. When you said that, I was like, oh, yeah, he heads up the jail ministry. We need to talk about that.
Yeah, be glad
but
to.
you said to me earlier, you said, hopefully I don't say anything that embarrasses the show. And I said, hey, if anybody's going to say something that embarrasses us, it's going to be me. So you did a great job, brother. And to all you guys out there watching, God bless you. Stay safe. And I think Nelson's words are extremely wise. Like, the best thing that we can do in this moment is take care of one another, pray for one another. We just want to thank you for your support. Nick, love you, bud. Thank
Love
you for
you
all
too,
you
brother.
do. Go ahead.
Can I do a plug?
Yes, absolutely. Go.
I need help in jail ministry. I need men that are willing to put themselves out there. We'll help you all you can. Just contact Centerpoint Church, and we'll put you on it. I can promise you, I was scared to death to start it, and now I have to be pretty sick before I miss it.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing you'll ever love.
And that's Centerpoint Church in Brookhaven, Mississippi, if any of y'all are interested.
Yep. And a Google search will take you right to our website if you want to get in contact. And Nelson, we'll have you back to talk about the jail ministry in depth, and maybe we can really garner some support there. But
And also a plug for us, if any of y'all would like to support the show, we'd love if you would pray about supporting us through patreon.com/TopherBrown.
all right. Love you guys. God bless you.
Love you too, brother.
See you next time.